Welcome to the OT Tip of the Month. This month, I wanted to share some information with you about how our team supports students with sensory processing differences. One way that we can do that is through setting up an individualized sensory diet. This term was first coined by occupational therapist Patricia Wilbarger, and she used it as a way to describe to people just like a nutritional diet, how we have food throughout our day to sustain our energy level. The same is true for helping a person to stay regulated and be able to participate in their day. They need different experiences and activities throughout their day to kind of sustain that level of engagement. And so, if you have a student who has an individual education plan, an IEP, and has occupational therapy services, one strategy is that your occupational therapy practitioner might look at trends for when are they really struggling. They're going to look at their assessment, how they're responding to different things, and put in throughout their day different activities that might be either some in-class supports or some breaks outside of the class. For in-class supports, I wanted to share kind of this laundry list of potential things that an occupational therapy practitioner might approach you and say, hey, could we trial this in the classroom with this particular student? Now, keep in mind that the occupational therapy practitioner will have worked with the student and feel really confident about this tool being a good fit for the student prior to bringing it into the classroom. They will have talked with that student about when they should be using it, how they should be using it. They should have practiced using it. But something to keep in mind is that when an item is presented and used inside the classroom, there often is a period of novelty that needs to wear off for having that item in class. It's usually about a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and that's where you as the teacher are going to need to teach and reteach those expectations. What we have found is that if it really works for the student, they're going to follow those rules, they're going to learn pretty quickly and covet that tool. And you might find that, it just isn't the right fit for in the classroom setting. The other thing that we have had conversations with teachers about is sometimes other students will say, well, why does so-and-so get to use something? That's not fair. And so you may or may not choose to have a classroom with your discussion with your entire class to say, different people need different things to be able to learn and to be able to participate in their day. Some people need glasses to be able to see clearly. Some people need, a different tool like a hokey stool or a vibrating seat cushion to help them to pay attention. Everybody is different, and we want to honor different people's ability to access their education and participate in their school day. So the other thing that the occupational therapist might set up is some different scheduled breaks throughout the school day. And scheduled breaks are an accommodation that can be listed on a student's IEP. Again, the goal is that ability to self-regulate and participate in the school day. Most often, if there's a designated OT space, these activities would happen there. Sometimes we're doing activities in the hallway, again, a low traffic hallway, or at times where there aren't a lot of people in the hallway. Sometimes it's accessing the gym or the playground when those are open, especially for middle school or high school students that maybe want to do more sport related activities like, say, playing basketball or, kicking around a soccer ball, something like that. And then we also can do some activities within the classroom, which I'll talk about in just a minute. If they're outside of the classroom, really the expectation oftentimes is for a paraprofessional or educational assistant to be supervising the student and participating with them in the activities. In that scenario, the occupational therapy practitioner is going to meet with the paraprofessional or EA, help them to know what to do, what to anticipate. Oftentimes we're asking them to collect some data so that we understand how the student's responding, and really get the student back to class within, about 10 minutes. These breaks should be, give or take some transition time. And there are some students that either, don't like leaving the classroom is too disruptive. It's not working for them to leave the classroom. Maybe they don't have paraprofessional support. And that's where the occupational therapy practitioner might approach you and say, hey, could we think about doing a break at this time with these types of activities with the whole classroom, with this particular student in mind, but really the whole class can benefit from movement and muscle work. There's a lot of research out there of all of the benefits to our memory, to our attention, to our ability to regulate our emotions. So even though you're putting this in your school day with that child in mind, multiple students, all of the students, quite frankly, are going to benefit. And the thing to keep in mind there, if you're doing movement breaks, is to always end with some sort of breathing activity, whatever your favorite type of breathing activity is. Oftentimes when we're doing movement, we are, having a good time. We might be laughing. Our arousal level is going to increase when we're doing those activities. And we want to move from that active alert to active and ready to learn and focus. And that's where the breathing comes in. So I encourage you to partner with your occupational therapy practitioner to help your students succeed this year at school.